Welcome to another edition of the NCBI Podcast. I'm June Tinsley, Head of Communications and Advocacy with NCBI. And today I have the pleasure of having a chat with Robbie Ford, who is based in Swords, but has lots to share about his experiences of working with the ESB and being a motivational speaker and a comedian. So I look forward to the chat. Thanks, Robbie, for joining us.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me, June.
Great. So we'll begin, as I always begin, by just asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I suppose I had a regular childhood. First of all, I'm 40 years of age, believe it or not, which is crazy. Time just goes so quickly. But anyway.
It happens to the best of us, don't worry.
Oh, stop. Jeez. They said life begins at 40. I'm just waiting for, things to get back into the swing of things again. Hopefully that'll start again. But background, just had a regular childhood like anybody else. Kicked ball on the street, climbed trees, fell out of trees, did knickknacks in the neighbours' gardens, houses, and just any regular kid did. And then, same ambitions, just when I get older, get a job and drive a car and, so on. But then at the age of 13, I started getting very, very bad headaches. Didn't know why. Went for tests, nothing came of them. And then I started losing my eyesight in my right eye. So my mother brought me straight into the matter to an ophthalmologist in there. I was thrilled with the half day off school. It was great. So I didn't know what was, to happen. So he checked me out, and he gave my parents a letter then to get me straight in for an MRI, a brain scan. So I was delighted. Now I was getting the whole day off. Happy days, great.
Yeah.
And then I had that done and waiting for the results, and my dad was called out by the doctor, and he came back in and he said, yeah, you have a brain tumor. So that's what happened to the eyesight. It damaged my optical nerve. It was terrifying. If it was their brain tumor, I thought I was going to die, and it was benign. Thank God it wasn't. It's cancer, but there's a positive word.
It's terrifying. You're a young
absolutely.
teenager.
I was terrified, absolutely. But there's always a positive where there's a negative and vice versa. And the positive, June, was I was delighted that they found a brain. So at least I had proof,
That's right.
I was thrilled with that part. But the rest, I was terrified. But yeah, so throughout I lost my sight then. But it was...
Did the tumor affect your entire optic nerve out of both eyes then?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I still had, it was like a light frosted window. I didn't need an aid of a stick or anything like that, I could still read, but, in school I had to sit up closer to the front of the class, which obviously I wasn't too happy about, or close to the blackboard, should I say.
Yes.
Which I wasn't too happy about, but I was still, so I went through school, I did the junior cert and still regular enough, although I had, the sight didn't bother me because, it didn't impede on my life because I could still do most things that I was doing before. And then when I was 16, I collapsed, and it turned out that the tiny bit, they didn't get it all basically. So the tiny bit that was left, they had to go in and do surgery on that. And they did. So that's when I was 16. That was, when was that? That was May 98. So then there was complications in August 98. I collapsed again, so they had to bring me in for more surgery. Then September 98, same again. And then January 99, again. And I had 4 operations in 1 week, all in Beaumont Hospital. They're amazing in there.
That's exhausting though, Jesus.
Yeah, so I thought that was the end of it. So January 99, they said, look, there's a tiny bit left in your head. Now I'm talking about the tumor, Joan, not my brain, right? My brain.
I know you verified that already now that your brain is really big.
Just to reiterate, just in case. But I had a very small bit left in my head. Now I still had, that same amount of sight than when I was 13. And basically, I got on with it. I finished school. And then sorry, I finished school up until January 99. Sorry, I had to leave school then because I'd missed so much. So that's when I
Yeah.
started in the NCBI in September 99. First time I've ever met blind and visually impaired people. I was excited, I was apprehensive, I was curious, I didn't know what to expect. And it really, pardon the pun, but it really opened my eyes to see, hey, hang on a minute, eyesight, no eyesight, lack of eyesight, little eyesight, whatever it may be, it's not the end of the world. There's things you can do. And other people really in there really taught me that, like,
Great.
So that's so from there I went on to college. I did the ECDL, which it was called at the time. Finished that. I was going on to employment and I collapsed again. That tiny bit
Oh,
of a tumor from January 99 didn't grow. It broke up and went around my head and down my spine. So they had to do radiotherapy.
oh my God.
Yep. So they did that and they said the odds were 10 to 1 that my sight could become more impaired. And I remember the radium was finished, whatever. I was wearing a cap and I was going for a game of pool with my friend. And I walked down here and saw us across the main road. No aids, as I said, I didn't need them as such. I seen him, bit of sight that I had. He came out of the house, said, great. And we're walking down and I couldn't line up the queue with the white ball. That was the hardest day. Then I realised, oh, my sight's much worse now. So I went from a light frosted window to a very densely frosted window, and that's the way it is now.
Okay. Okay.
So I had to, with the help of family then and friends, of course, all the way through, I I had to go and do the course all over again, the ECDL. So I did, and I got it, and I was delighted with that. And then I was trying to find employment, and it was so difficult. Like I wasn't getting anywhere. Am I going to find a job? Do I want to employ someone that's blind? Do they, will I ever get a job? So I just, with the help of others and encouragement, I kept just knocking on that door, and then ESB back in 2006, in conjunction with Ahead, which are in their Ahead are a group.
Yeah.
You know of them, do you?
Yeah. 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 They,
Um,
they kind of really help individuals get employment if you have a
employment,
disability.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I went for an interview there. I didn't really have much confidence because my confidence was knocked at this stage. I don't think I'm going to get this. And I got a phone call and I did get it. So I was thrilled. So I had 6 months there. And then I finished up and thought to myself, right, well, where am I going to go now? At least I have the 6 months experience. And I went off on holidays and I came back and I got a phone call. And from that was in the city centre, head office I was in first. But when I came back from holidays, I got a phone call from Santry, which is just down the road, as you know.
Yes.
So for a 12-month contract. So I started there and I was there for, I think it was 4 months. And again, I came back from holidays, went out on holidays again. It's not as if I had the money to go, but anyway, I was away. And I came back in, I was late. And one of the managers said, Robbie, can I have a word with you? Can you step into the office? And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, what's this about now? And I thought, half of me was saying, relax, it's for your first time being late. And the other half was, excuse me, was nervous. So I remember the manager said, he said, look, Robbie, there's a lot of people talking about you around the building. And I said, okay, Jesus, what's this all about? He said, no, you
Yeah.
haven't been established anywhere yet because I was only there a few months, so I wasn't established in any department.
Yes.
Yeah. And what were they saying? He said, basically, my hand's in front of you, so if you want to shake it, you're permanent. I
Oh,
thought
fabulous.
I thought I won the lotto. He was winding me up, obviously, just winding me up about as if I was in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, 15 years later,
And are you in
16.
a customer service role, or are you in
I'm in
finance,
where
or
I
where are
was
you?
in credit control for a long time. So I was helping people pay their bills. And ESB didn't tell me to say that. It's true because, it was all commercial I was dealing with. So I just kind of got to know people and met rapport with people fairly quickly.
Yeah, fair
And
play to you.
even though I was, looking for their money, but I was letting them know that, here, listen, I'm normal as well. I'd be annoyed just as much as you are if, I was in your situation, but let me help you.
Yeah.
So I did that for 10 years. And then the last 6 years, I'm in an area called quality assurance. It's customer journey. So we have to keep an eye on, the emails that are coming in, how many, what complaints are coming in, how long did it take for them to resolve the complaint? Was the customer happy? Then we have to listen into phone calls then as well. When you ring somewhere up and it says this call is recorded for training purpose. So we'd have to listen into some of them calls just to make sure um the agents are doing what they were trained to do.
Yes,
That
yes,
kind
yes.
of
And that's
things.
rightly so. It's kind of, as you say, it's quality assurance to make sure there's consistency across
Exactly.
all the customer service team. That makes sense.
That's exactly
Um,
what it is. Yeah.
and obviously, as a equally important gig in your life is the whole being a motivational speaker and comedian. Tell us a bit about that.
The motivational speaking came, that was the first, that first kicked off. I was asked to just get up and share my experience, like what we're doing now,
Yeah,
in front of a group of people down in the Towers Hotel in Waterford. It was through a union connected to ESB. I was terrified, but I did, and I got up and I said my piece, and that was it. And then after that, people started contacting me. So
great.
it kicked off then. So I started doing the motivational talks in schools, secondary schools mainly, but some companies as well. And it's just promoting positivity. Basically, what I
Yeah,
learned from that first day when I started in the NCBI was this isn't the end of the world, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
the message I put across, John, is everybody has a disability, everybody in the world. Because what a disability is, it's something you have, something you cannot do, or something you have difficulty doing. So I, and everybody else in the world has something they can't do or have difficulty doing. So, I mean, if I was to say now to get a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle of the page, and I give you 5 minutes to write on the left-hand side of the page the things you cannot do or have difficulty doing, and the right-hand side of the page the things you can do. I can guarantee you wouldn't even need 5 minutes to list things you have difficulty doing or cannot do, but you'd need endless amount of ink, paper, and time to list the things you can do. You
yeah.
know.
100% agree with that. Definitely.
So if we look at the word disability, it's a 10-letter word. 70% of that word is made up of ability. So if we shrink the negative part, which is the DIS, but put it to a small d, and let's put the ability with a capital A. So it becomes, instead of a disability, it becomes the focus of the right-hand side of the page, which is this ability that we all have.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
So that's the message I'd give across in the motive. Now, I also include, this is how I suppose got into the comedy as well. I also include humor, keeps the kids' attention. So like I bring blindfolds with me as well and white sticks to do a practical with them as well, and just to show the kids and the teachers that look, someone that's blind or visually impaired, life goes on. So I might ask them to, I put a chair in the middle of the room and ask them to find a chair and walk around it and explain, well, see, that's how someone that's blind or visually impaired walks down the street. See, you
yeah,
know.
exactly.
So I'd
Yeah,
use
it's
humor
all
like
about information sharing, isn't it? And public awareness and increased
absolutely.
understanding and empathy.
And that's my goal of these motivational talks, to help the individual, but also to promote that awareness,
Mm,
you
definitely.
know, about others and about them. So I'd say also, never ever look at somebody else and what they can do because you can't. Well, you have to remember there's stuff that they can't do that you can. So don't ever look at what you can't do. Look at what you can do and look at what others can do as well, and do it because you can. you know. But I'd use humor as in, I might say, put a blindfold, okay, lads, look, I know we're definitely not going to see eye to eye now, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Just,
very much so.
it just keeps their attention. And I might say something like, okay, let's blindfold a teacher, but don't be sticking your foot out now, lads, trying to trip them up. Like, but no, it'd be in a safe environment, but I'd be, just
Yes.
having the crack with them, I suppose. That kind of thing.
It just normalizes the thing, everything, doesn't it, Robbie? When you just kind of take dilute the intensity out of things,
That's
with a
exactly
bit of
it.
humor and that kind of stuff. It just normalizes things, as it says.
Exactly, and
Uh,
that's how the comedy came about. I was on a night out, and a friend of mine got up. She was playing the guitar, and she asked me to go up and sing a song, and I did. And I sang the song "Wonderful Tonight" by Eric Clapton, and I changed the words in it to. I said, and one of the lines in it, and then she asked me, do I look all right? And I said, ah, come on now, love. I've got very little sight, right? And I was just doing it for the crack. So, that was it. And then later on, a guy approached me and said, would you think about doing a bit of comedy? I said, well, you ever feck off. I said, I'll sing a song, but there's not a hope I do comedy. So throughout the year of 2018, I met him 3 times. And the third time I met him, he said to me again, and I said, to be honest with you, Dave, I said I will just to shut you up, like, because you keep asking me. Great guy out here in Soros, David Gillen, and he's doing very, very well. Lightning Comedy is his show, and he's a great guy, and I thank him for actually encouraging me to get into comedy. But the Friday the 12th of October 2018, I took to the stage, and to say I was terrified is an understatement. Like, what
Oh, I can
what's
only just
going on.
imagine.
Oh, but I was shaking. I couldn't hear anybody laughing because I was more so concentrating. What am I saying next? What am I saying next? But um, I was told people were falling around the place laughing, so I was thrilled. I was on such a high after it. So I said, I wouldn't mind doing that again sometime, but I didn't think any more of it. And like the motivation talks, then my phone started ringing. I ended up supporting and doing a few minutes for Jason Bourne the following year. And
Oh, brilliant.
no, I was terrified. Jesus, I was terrified. It's like, but then I just started getting phone calls from different. I didn't realize there were so many comedy clubs around Ireland. So I've just been traveling around upon Ireland doing a bit. I was thrilled now, I'm name dropping now, but I never heard of this guy before until I met him, Bobby Davro from, do you know of him, the comedian
I've
from
definitely heard of him.
the
Definitely heard of him.
BBC and that, and then
Yeah.
Carl Spain. Well, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
asked by another great guy, Niall Horace, down in Galway, and it's Ireland's biggest comedy festival. I was blown away. I was terrified for this as well. But I met this guy, Bobby Dalbrook, Carl Spain, other comedians as well, and it was just the comradeship, the encouragement, it was amazing. It was brilliant. So
And
that's
tell me,
what.
have those festivals and things like that, have they all recommenced again after COVID? Because you would have had a 2-year hiatus on the circuit.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's a comedy club in town in the Halfpenny Bridge Inn. It's
Yeah, I've
on
been to it a few times. Yeah.
a Wednesday night. You've been to it, have you?
Yeah, I've been to it a
Ah,
few times, a few years ago.
brilliant, brilliant. So,
And is the Cat Laughs Festival back on this
Cat
year, was
Laughs
it?
in Kilkenny, I'm not sure. I haven't heard much of it yet.
Yeah.
Not yet, but I'm sure it will be. I was down in a club down in for a charity event down in Newbridge on Sunday. And that was the
Okay,
first
great.
gig I've done now in a long time, and it was great just to be back with some of the other comics and back into a bit of normality, you know. But yeah, there's a number of places around town and around Ireland, and they're all open back up now. Yeah,
Which is great, which is great. Um,
fantastic.
and is there any kind of particular standout moments for you that you've experienced, either being as a result of being a motivational speaker or a comedian?
Well, the motivation speaking, moment that stands out, which I was blown away by, was I was just walking down the street here in Swords, down the village, one of the days, and 2 lads came over to me. I said, how's it going, mister? He said, you done a talk in our school a few years ago. When are you coming back? That was great. I was blown away by that, you know.
Well,
I was
it just
delighted.
shows you that it stuck with them, didn't it?
Oh, I was thrilled. Yeah. The comedy side of things, yeah, there's a few. One that comes to mind, and this is down to lack of awareness. This connects directly to lack of awareness. Uh, what I do is self-deprecation, John. I go on stage with a big pair of shades. I bring a guide dog onto the stage with me. I don't have a guide dog, but he's invisible. What I do is what I do is just have a lead and a collar, and that's it. And I introduce the guide dog to everybody, and I'll tell them to sit down and stuff like that. But it's just self-deprecation, which us Irish are very good at doing.
Yes, yes, very much so. Yeah.
So the whole joke, I suppose, is like straight at myself, the poor fella doesn't realise his dog's after running away on him. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So talk about kind of other things, situations that I've gotten myself into due to my blindness. And
Yes.
I'd speak about them. Now, I'd also point out, just going back to the motivational talks, when I'm having a bit of a laugh with the kids in the school, I'll also point out at the very end that just because I can have a laugh here, lads, at myself, that doesn't mean other people that are visually impaired and blind can do it also, because
Sure.
we're all
Yeah.
unique, just like all you boys and girls and you teachers, you know.
Sure.
So
Yeah, it's a
one
very good
moment
message.
anyway, the comedy
Yeah.
that sticks out, a woman came up to me after the gig and gave out stink to me. She said, "How dare you get on stage and start taking the mick out of people that are blind? That's an absolute disgrace. How would you like to be blind?" Said, "Oh, here we go." So I took the shades off and I looked kind of with my little vision as much as I could at her. I said, "I am blind." She nearly dropped dead, you know.
But was it not obvious from your act that you're obviously making reference to yourself?
Oh no, but she thought I was joking. She thought I was
Okay.
pretending to be blind because I had a white stick in one hand, the guide dog in the other. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
just thought it was all an act. Like it was an act
Yeah.
as such, like, you know, but no, I said I am blind and she nearly dropped dead. She was apologetic and all. But you see, that brings it back to that's what I'm saying, the lack of awareness in society. Like, did she think, oh, maybe people that are blind don't do stuff like that? You know, people that are blind, do they stay at home in their houses? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just there's so many small-minded people I've come across out there, not just in comedy, but even on a day-to-day basis.
Yes. Yes.
You
No,
know?
it is true. And it's not helped by the fact that having a vision impairment is a low instance disability. So, and many people don't necessarily look as if they have a vision impairment. So,
Yeah.
it just adds to people's confusion and ignorance about it.
Well, I do now. Like I do have to now since like 21 when I had the radium and that. Um, I do have to rely. I use a white cane now, a long cane.
Okay.
You know, so like it would be obvious, but like,
Yeah.
you know, when I looked at the lady, it's because I suppose I couldn't catch her eye straight away. She copped it, like she knew I was blind when I said it, like, you know, she believed me, and but she nearly dropped dead. So that opened her eyes. You know what
Very
I mean?
much so. And have you crossed paths with Chris McCausland, the comic in the UK who's blind?
No, I've seen her on TV, all right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure your paths will cross soon enough. The comedy circle isn't probably that small, or isn't that bit large really. So I'm sure your paths will
Yeah, I'm
cross.
hoping to get over to maybe the Fringe Festival at some stage, hopefully.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
be back down in
Great.
Galway. I've been asked to go back down to Galway now this October. So I look forward to that.
Great. Great. And
There
Robbie,
might be
just
hot.
to before I let you go, is my final question to you is, what one piece of advice would you give another person who's recently been diagnosed with a vision impairment?
I would say sit down and just take a breather and think about what I said there earlier on. Okay, there's things you're not going to be able to do anymore, unfortunately. There's going to be things that you're going to find very difficult to do, not impossible, but difficult to do. But then there's a lot of stuff, endless amount of things that you can do, and even more that you've written down on the page. So think about that and look at that right hand side, of the page and look at the can do and do it. Because from a personal experience that someone that's been there, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't impossible. And once I got there and I did it, I was really just delighted that, other people within the NCBI that I'd met inspired me to do so. And I did it. And life isn't perfect. I'm still human. I still get down, at days just because just like you do and everybody else. I'm still human. I'll get annoyed about things and, you know, might bump off something. But I mean, look at what you can do and just aim at that and just try and put behind you or put aside the stuff that you can't do or have difficulty doing.
Wise words. Yes, very much so. And I suppose if anybody wishes to avail of our services, as always, feel free to contact our info line 1800 911 250 or to jump on our website, ncbi.ie, and all information about our services locations across the country and the services we offer and can support you with are available there. But for now, Robbie, I would just like to say a massive thank you for your time and lovely
Oh,
to
thank
chat
you,
with you.
Jim. I
And
hope it was of use. Thanks.
very much so, very much so. And I look forward to seeing you on the comedy circuit.
And hopefully I might see you in the Halfpenny Bridge in some night then, yeah.
Exactly,
I'll
exactly.
introduce
Thanks.
you to Max, my guide dog. He won't bite you, trust me.
I'll look forward to that, definitely, Robbie. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic, John. Thanks a million. Take care now.